Welcome to another Tap In on Tuesdays where we use EFT tapping to help strengthen your authentic creative connection. So, I have another video out there called Critics and Composure. And today, when I was out walking, I was thinking about this and I wanted to share another story and do another tap on something kind of in a similar vein. So, years ago, when I was a teenager, I was at a party, and there were two young brothers who were near me by the food, not sitting down to eat, but like we were at a coffee table. There were multiple couches. There were lots of people around, but only the three of us that I recall were actually sitting there at the food. And one of them was about 2.5, and the other was probably around 5. So the 2.5-year-old accidentally spills some water and immediately starts crying really loud, really like just crying immediately. And I looked at him and I go, well, you don't have to cry about it. Immediately stops, looks right at me like, and I said, go into the kitchen and find, and I told him like either a big person or one of the two people whose house we were in, and say, I spilled some water. Could I please have some paper towels? And he left. And he came back with way more paper towels than we needed. I did not help him clean that up. I told him what to do. He's like blotting, he's absorbing, he's cleaning it, he's smiling, he's happy to do this. And I said, great, now go into the kitchen and throw these away. The trash can was like in our view, I believe. And so he goes off to do that. And I look over at his brother who's sitting there like this. And I said to him, why did he start crying? And he goes, he thought he was going to be yelled at. And I immediately, in my mind, was like, wow, that tells me so much. First of all, this is not the first time this has happened. This is a common enough occurrence. I guess I found out his mom yells at him a lot. And so he cries. And the second thing was that he felt that he needed to cry in order to handle the situation, maybe so it would lessen the blow, maybe so that I don't know. I didn't know the dynamics very well. But in my mind, I was like, wow, this is a child who has been already conditioned into that kind of behavior. Think about it. And I'm not trying to tell you how to parent, but just consider this if you are similar about this. If he's 2.5 and he's already learned not to come to you when he has some kind of accident because you're going to yell at him instead of help him, just think when he's older, how is he going to be if he doesn't go to his parent if something happens? Who is he going to go to instead? Because it's probably not going to be you if you're being harsh on him for something simple like this. So he comes back into the space beaming, completely empowered. And I knew from that interaction that this is a kid who just had this cycle that he's had of beliefs that he already had this conditioned into him, already had this training. He started crying to protect himself. I totally got that. And I'm like, wow, he's empowered. He now knows what to do. And hopefully, I'm sure that even though this is one little instance, it was a life-changing one because his vibe was so different and he was like, now at least he knows, okay, I might make a mistake, but I know what to do. And hopefully he also knew that there will be somebody who could help him. It might seem like a lot, but I'm just telling you that was my perception of it. I remember it. It was a profound thing, and I was happy to be a part of it because that was a click that I felt, and I could see the difference. And I was like, wow. Now, whether you are 2.5 and you only have like 10 experiences, I'm sure he had more than 10, but say it was 10 experiences with something, or maybe it happened 10 minutes ago, or maybe it's been 10 years. When you do tapping, it doesn't matter. Once you break and shift out of that cycle of beliefs, you have new beliefs, you have totally new experiences, and honestly, you're going to perceive your past differently too. That will be a tap for another day, though. So, I thought this would be a good one to tap on, though, too. So, taking full responsibility for your well being and all the benefits that you gain from this, I have some cycling beliefs that I learned to protect myself because of other people's reactions and responses to me and my behavior when I had an accident or made a mistake. An accident, let's define as I did something without the intention and it had some kind of effect I wasn't going for and probably didn't want. And a mistake, I mistook it for something it wasn't. And you typically end up with a similar result, although you don't have to perceive a mistake that way. But for this, we're going to go with that. So, eyebrow point. I'm remembering experiences I had that I don't want to have again. Side of the eye. So I'm reacting to this situation as if it was the first time. Under the eye. Because I have learned that if I freak out first, other people will be gentler to me. Under the nose. If I'm crying, you will know I did not mean to do it. Under the mouth. That it was an accident and I don't want you to be upset. Collarbone. Hopefully, you can interpret it that way. Under the arm. But I'm not fully expecting you to, which is why I'm crying even louder. Top of the head. It was an accident. Okay. So, something that we do with EFT tapping pretty frequently is that you will close your eyes when you're thinking of something before you start tapping, and you will give yourself a sentence. So, go ahead and do that. Think of something like, it's okay for me to make a mistake. And on a scale of 1 to 10, think about it when you say that sentence. Where in your body are you feeling it? Is it a yes or a no? Do you get tense? Do you get scared? Do you feel it in your throat? What kind of reaction do you have? And 10 being the highest, how true is that? It's okay for me to make a mistake. And now we'll do some more tapping. Eyebrow point. It's okay for me to make a mistake. Side of the eye. Actually, it's really not okay because I know I'm going to get yelled at. Under the eye. Which makes me not even want to try sometimes because what if I can't do it right the first time? Under the nose. Or what if I do really well and then I make a mistake? Under the mouth. Or have some kind of accident. Collarbone. I'm afraid of other people's responses. Under the arm. I'm letting that dictate my choices. Top of the head. It's not okay for me to make a mistake. Maybe you felt something shift and maybe you haven't. I will point out that it doesn't really matter if you're tapping on the specific issue. If you just tap along with people, you'll still feel a shift and a benefit. But if there is a specific thing that's stirring up right now, it's a great idea to just like keep going at it and create new beliefs instead. Because it's totally fine that you're protecting yourself by trying not to repeat something that you didn't like. But it's also like there are people out there who will help you. There are resources, there are all sorts of things that are on your side, and some who are like really eager to do so. So it's we hold ourselves back sometimes from so many things because of something that we learned when we were younger or even as an adult. But a lot of times it goes back to when we were younger, and it's like, I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to react bigger than you, or I'm going to react first to kind of soften the blow for both of us, hopefully. Let's keep going. I acknowledge that I did something and got a result I wasn't going for. And I totally get it that that might bum you out or disappoint you, but I can't control how you feel or how you respond to me. And if you're going to cry over something or yell over something or be that big about a reaction to something so minor, I feel really scared about the thought of what if something really big happened, something more important. something that's not as easily fixed. I guess I just have to decide for myself how I want to feel. I guess I know that I've made mistakes before and I've figured out what to do. That sometimes there's an accident and what can you do? It's done. Maybe you're not in the position to give me grace on this, but I can give myself grace. Other people have made mistakes too. Everyone's been involved in some sort of accident. And that's the whole thing, is that it's not intentional. We're not trying to be difficult or mess something up when this happens. And it's okay that sometimes mistakes and accidents happen. I'm deciding right here and now that I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to keep trying new things. I'm going to keep doing the things that I already enjoy doing and I'm already good at. Even knowing that even the best, most skilled professionals sometimes also make mistakes or have accidents. There are athletes who are so good at what they do and they occasionally don't make the goal. There are cooks who accidentally spill too much of an ingredient into the mix. There are all sorts of ways that we can make mistakes. But the game continues. And the food still gets cooked and eaten, usually. There's a quote about, I believe it's Einstein who said that people won't remember you except for your mistakes. That's not what the actual quote is. Paraphrasing, it's that if you do 10 things right and one thing wrong, people will remember the one thing. That's not the actual quote, but it gets the point. Even Einstein had some things that were not accurate. But hey, he found a million and one ways that didn't work. Not sure whose quote that was either, but the point isn't to have precise quotes. And it wasn't Einstein who said this morning, I found a million and one ways that didn't work. I'm not sure who said that. Maybe it was, and I'm going to look it up after this. But rather than start this all over and say, hey, I messed up because I tried to put quotes in that I didn't know, I'm going to leave this to show that sometimes we make mistakes. And I'm not even really going to consider it a mistake. I'm just going to say you got the point of what I was going for anyway, right? I'm not going to let the concern of, oh, okay, this wasn't the smoothest thing ever, be why I don't still continue. It's not the end of the world. And I care way more about feeling good and having fun and enjoying tapping than anything else. So the point was made, and yay, thank you for two examples that go right along with this. No one's going to yell and scream or make me cry. I'm not going to yell and scream at myself either. I'm not going to punish myself for not knowing the quotes or for not knowing anything else or for any mistake or accident that I didn't intend to do that just helps me to recognize, hey, maybe I need to focus a little more. Maybe I was a little bit out of balance in that moment, or overly tired, or I needed to eat, or I was multitasking and it just got too much. And we don't even need an excuse or a reason for a mistake or an accident. We don't need a mistake or a reason to be kinder and gentler. People don't go around purposely trying to make mistakes or have accidents. Because if they're doing it on purpose, it's neither one of those. So yeah, sometimes something happens and it sucks. And I might feel bummed about what the results are of it. But it is safe for me to make a mistake or have an accident every now and then. I'm not going to beat myself up. And I'm not going to let other people's overreactions hinder my choices, my empowerment, my confidence, and my ability to move forward. I give myself and everyone else involved a break. All right. So you could now do the 1 to 10 scale again and ask yourself or say to yourself, it's safe for me to make a mistake. And see how true it is. And if it's not feeling very true, or like I said, if it's stirred something up, go ahead and keep tapping or do this again. For myself, like I do feel calmer. Usually, I pretty much always feel calmer and more centered when I do tapping, even if it's on a topic that I'm not really super connected to. But um, it, and if you haven't seen it already, like I said, going back to Critics and Composure, that's a good one to pair with this because they both talk about that other people's reactions and how do you respond to it. And I would much rather see people being empowered and just say, okay, yes, I messed up. Let's move forward. I'm going to keep tapping even if I don't know the quotes that I referenced. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, I'm not out here trying to mess things up, and neither are you. And I think what can happen is we have that situation, especially when we're younger, and then we just keep replaying it. And in our heads, it stops us from being who we are. It stops us from going out and trying new things and feeling as adventurous and excited about things as we might be otherwise because we are so concerned about that happening again. No more. We're done with that. Create new beliefs. It's okay if I make a mistake. I'm not trying to make a mistake. I'm doing my best. We're all doing our best. Sometimes our best is better than others. Something simple like that, that's a much more powerful belief than being concerned about being yelled at and yelling at yourself too. So hopefully this is helpful. Feel free to look up those quotes like I'm about to. I'm not going to come back here and make this even longer. But thank you for tapping with me, and I will see you next Tuesday.